This is Here I Am, Batson and the Batsons by SmolSpideyBoi. Chapter 4. Hey, well, I'm doing just fine. I lied, no I'm not. Summary. But here he was, bleeding out in some filthy, dank alleyway in Gotham, a long way from home and all alone. Magic can only go so far. It can only do so much. Magic is not, however, an infallible catch-all for human mistakes. Billy was having a bad day, no way around it. It was just a series of events that led him to where he was now, lying in Gotham in an alley with a stab wound. He tried to sit up, but the lance of white-hot pain stopped him almost immediately after he started. Today was just fucking fantastic. All he wanted was to check up on a few Fawcett kids that had migrated to Gotham. That was all. But instead, he ended up with a knife to the stomach. But that's just Gotham for you. Billy looked at the growing crimson staining his shirt and sweater, and sighed, a long-suffering, heavy sigh. I really liked that shirt, he huffed, pressing a hand against the stab wound. All he wanted was to go home, to his stuffed tiger and soft red blanket. He just wanted to go home, period. But here he was, bleeding out in some filthy, dank alleyway in Gotham, a long way from home, and all alone. What a pathetic, lonely way to die. Because people don't just get over being stabbed in the abdomen, not even when they're secretly a magic-wielding superhero. Magic can only go so far. It can only do so much. Magic is not, however, an infallible catch-all for human mistakes. And Billy knew this. He could feel the voice of Solomon gently chiding him in the background noise of his mind. But everything else was getting quieter and dimmer until he didn't even feel how cold and hard the ground was. In all honesty, Bruce didn't even know why he was out in this part of Gotham, as Bruce Wayne, and not as Batman. He was just asking for something to happen. But he ignored that sensible little voice chiming gently in the back of his head that sounded suspiciously like Alfred, and continued to wander around, closer and closer to Crime Alley, until something stopped him. He doesn't even realize why he stopped at first, until he hears an ever-so-quiet noise. So faint that he might not have heard it if it wasn't for all the years he spent as a vigilante. It's a kid. A small, underweight twig of a kid. Bruce guessed that the kid was 12, maybe 13 at the oldest. As he stepped closer, he began to smell copper, the metallic taste pervading all of his senses. Blood. The alley reeked of it, worse than the infirmary at the Batcave did. This kid was severely injured, and Bruce had to figure out where the blood was coming from, and fast. When Bruce gently rolled the kid onto his back, trying to alleviate the pressure on the kid's chest and find the source of the blood, his hands came away red. Red and dripping with fresh blood, and tacky, clotted blood. Shit. Oh, fuck. The red sweatshirt the kid was wearing was absolutely saturated in blood, more of it oozing sluggishly from a rip in the kid's sweatshirt, right in the abdomen. This little kid had been stabbed in the stomach and was left for dead. And it was absolutely despicable. Even among the gangs, the thugs, and the street kids, there were a few unspoken rules. One of them being, don't attack children. Bruce removed his shirt and zipped the kid's sweater to apply pressure on the wound with one hand. With the other, he deftly unlocked his phone and called Alfred. Alfred, I need you to prep the infirmary for an abdominal stab wound and call Dr. Leslie immediately. I have a kid, approximately 80 pounds, a puncture wound to the left abdominal muscle system. Length and depth unknown. He's lost a lot of blood, too. There's just a few brief seconds of silence on the other side of the line, until Alfred speaks up. Dr. Leslie is on her way, and I have the infirmary prepped and ready. Master Bruce, where are you? Nightwing was spotted last near the slums. Should I send him over? Bruce wants to say no. He wants to spare Dick the possibility of him being unable to save this child, but he knows better. Yes, he breathes. Send the Batmobile to my coordinates as well. He can almost see the small relieved smile on Alfred's face. Understood, Master Bruce. Anything else? No, Al, he replies before he ends the call, tossing his phones to the ground next to him. The next 4 minutes are probably the most excruciatingly slow of his life, or at least so it feels. Gotham feels all too quiet, too dark for this time of night. He keeps his hand on the wound, steadily applying pressure, his eyes glancing all around the alleyway until he hears it. The faint hum of the Batmobile's almost silent engine. He can feel the churning, soft vibrations through the ground until it comes to a complete stop at the front of the street, boxing him in with the light from its headlights. It's less than a minute before Dick shows up. his silhouette black across the light of the nearby full moon. "B," he breathes as he drops down next to him. "What's the situation?" Bruce can see the tension in his shoulders and the slight narrowing of his eyes. A kid," Bruce gasps out, his chest suddenly tight for no reason at all. Stab wound, abdomen, extreme blood loss. He can see Nightwing nod, and suddenly Bruce is being pushed back by gloved hands. Nightwing, picks up the kid and carries him to the Batmobile, silently sliding into the back seat, quickly removing his gloves and using his bare hands to steady the pressure back onto the wound. And then he hears it. A stunted breath, almost a gasp. "What?" he snaps, as he flicks through the multitude of knobs, buttons, and levers until they're speeding away from the blood-stained alley and toward the cave. He sees Nightwing look up, but it's Dick's voice that comes out. I know him, Bruce. I know this kid. His name is Billy, and he lives in Fawcett. I don't understand why he's here in Gotham, of all places." Bruce can see Dick's world fall and tunnel because Dick has always cared far too much. "Hang in there, bud," he whispers. "It's going to be okay. Leslie is on her way to the manor, and Alfred knows the situation. He's going to be okay, I promise." Dick looks up at him with trusting, wide eyes, and Bruce feels all the more a liar. Those are the same eyes of a scared 9-year-old little boy who watched his parents fall to their deaths. These are the eyes of his son, who has always looked like both Batman and Bruce hung the moon. This was Chapter 4 of Here I Am, Batson and the Batsons by SmolSpideyBoi. If you liked this, or if you have any ideas for other fics I could read, let me know in the comments. And make sure to go over to the original story by SmolSpideyBoi and let him know what you thought. Thanks for listening.